Well, it didn't quite hit $400 million worldwide, but it did do pretty damn well. This is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Huge milestones, record breaker. Now, I released the video, I think it was yesterday, where I said, look, Disney are going to be embarrassed by this. Disney are going to be annoyed. And people are like, why? Why do you think they care? Of course they're going to care. You think Disney, the former powerhouse in children's entertainment, is going to be happy that they've been dethroned with the biggest animated opening worldwide, record breaker history? You think they're going to be happy with that? No, of course not. Especially when their animated efforts lately have been abysmally received. You know, you had Strange Worlds. That lost hundreds of millions of dollars. You had Lightyear. Abysmal. Terrible, terrible, terrible films. In terms of production, reception, and also box office. Versus Nintendo. Just dropping in here. Managing it all. Because Nintendo would have signed off on everything. So yes, Disney would be annoyed. It's naive to think that they won't be. But like I said, Super Mario Bros. Has smashed it. Super Mario Bros. Movie makes history with a $378 million global start. Best ever worldwide debut for an animated film. And number 2 overseas launch with $173 million. Absolutely staggeringly high. I do also believe this is the biggest opening for a video game adaptation. If I am correct. I'm pretty certain I am. So it's a record breaker on multiple levels. And you know what? Nintendo are going to be laughing all the way to the bank. Why will they? Well, because not only are they reaping the huge benefits of this, plus setting up multiple more movies, because undoubtedly they are. We said on my weekly podcast that there's rumours of a Zelda movie. So stay tuned for that. But also, of course, a sequel to this with Yoshi. Yeah, there's going to be lots. But also, people are going to be buying the Nintendo Switch. Of which I've literally put an order in because I just want to play Mario Kart. Amazingly. Because I watched this film and I remembered Nintendo 64, Mario 64, Mario Kart 64. I was like, God damn, I remember that being so much fun. Let me get some of that again in my life. So yeah, Nintendo going to be laughing all the way to the bank, whilst Disney's being embarrassed with their annual shareholders call, with their box office totals. Yeah, not good. But anyway, this is great. This is absolutely brilliant. And this is just a movie that simply had no message aside from normal stuff. Just go, good family values, protect people. Princess Peach was sent on a diplomatic mission to raise an army. She's a badass, but a cool one. I mean, it just worked on every level. Illumination Disney Universal's The Super Mario Bros. Movie has made history with the biggest worldwide opening ever for an animated title at $377.5 million. Crazy. The movie just took off with audiences and 4-quad to boot. It's a 4-quadrant film, so that's every single demographic. It just works all around. We're now looking at a potential $1 billion worldwide grosser. No, it absolutely will cross $1 billion. They will hit $1 billion, for sure. Fans are loving it, and it's expected to have strong legs with no clear competition in the marketplace going forward. You can't beat Mario. You just can't. Obviously, loads of global milestones, but it bears repeating, because they listed them yesterday. This is Deadline. But this is the biggest worldwide opening for an animation ever. And of 2023. Best for Illumination ever. Biggest video game adaptation ever. So I was right. And in just the first frame is fully the 4th biggest Hollywood animation globally since the pandemic began. So just already opening, it's the 4th biggest just for Hollywood. This could become the biggest animated film of all time. Honestly, it could. There's genuinely no reason why that is a laughable statement. Now, some of the other milestones include the biggest animated opening of all time in 10 markets, the biggest video game adaptation opening ever in 44 markets, the biggest Illumination debut in 30 markets, the biggest Universal bow in 12 markets. This is a fucking smash hit. Incredible. So plumbing down into international markets, Mexico is just insane, with $27.4 million. It hit the third biggest opening weekend of all time. Universal's best and an animated best. The UK had $19.6 million. I saw this at like 11 a.m, 12 a.m, something like that. Like, lunchtime, early. On Wednesday when it released. And there were just families, loads of them all dressed up. Loved it. Illumination's best and tops for a video game adaptation. Among other records, Germany grossed 14 million. China, amid meh reactions to Hollywood movies in general of late, did $12 million, including the biggest opening day for a studio animated title in the pandemic era. France, 10.4 million across the opening, made Mario the biggest animated opening since the start of the pandemic, biggest opening for a video game adaptation, and second biggest Illumination opening of all time. It's just crazy. IMAX, it did really well in IMAX actually. So the global weekend was 21.6 million. International was 5. Again, more record opening. Animated title in 22 markets. Just for IMAX alone. So IMAX are loving that as well. And you know what? Still hasn't opened in Korea or Japan yet. So it's going to absolutely clean up there. I mean, it's Nintendo. I hate to stereotype. It's not a stereotype. It's just a fact. The Japanese do like their Nintendo. It's like saying, does a bear shit in the woods? They love it. They absolutely love it. So this is just staggeringly big. Staggeringly big. The biggest video game adaptation ever. Wow. And it couldn't happen to a more just humble movie. It just worked. And it's egg on everyone's faces. And I love it. Because it's also, right, it's egg on everyone that hates Chris Pratt. For no reason. Everyone just hates him. Absolutely no reason. But everyone's saying that Disney wouldn't be, annoyed by this. Isn't it just absolutely naive? Absolutely naive. Ridiculous to say that they wouldn't be annoyed by this. Yeah, of course they're going to be annoyed. Because who's the big player in children's entertainment now? Well, it isn't Disney, is it? It is not Disney. It's Illumination and anyone they partner with. But more specifically, we've got Billy Big Balls Nintendo rocking up here. And why do I say that? Well, because they would have signed off on everything. They get final say. The Japanese are notoriously protective of their IPs. Toho with Godzilla. Nintendo with all the Nintendo stuff. So, but let me know what you think of this down below. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Check out the podcast channel. You'll find it linked down below. We ripped on Grace Randolph's video because her review, she didn't even think it would make it to Friday, ladies and gents. Egg on your face. And this is why it's important to watch these movies with the general public as a reviewer. Because you actually get a hold on what the general public thinks. You just sat there with a bunch of sourpuss bloody critics who all hate your lives. The bottom rung basement of an AMC. Yeah, you might get your snacks, but you're not going to get a handle on whether people actually like a film or not. So egg on your face, Grace, and egg on everyone else's face. Cheers, guys. Take care.